Hey guys, so for today I got a SAAB here, Turbo X. My old one needs a steering intermediate shaft. Steering wheel, like I'll show you, it's like almost 180 or whatever, it gets stuck. And then it also needs my hair messy, as per usual. Also needs front brakes. It shimmies really bad. There's a bit of pad left, but you can see the rotor and stuff. It's just what. Little cold start. So you put in drive and you start steering. And right there, it's really tough. And then it got loose and then it's like tough. See where it's getting tough trying to, like right there. So I couldn't even get past that one. So it's smooth in here, and then you get to the one spot, and it's tough. See, like right now, it's really tough. Bring it into the shop. Do the front brakes first. So brakes, gotta pop this off. Use a little screwdriver, or be careful of not screwing up the wheel. You know, usually I'll try and put like a hook or something and pull it, pop it off. Take the 17 millimeter like bolts off, take the wheel off, turn the wheel so I could get the bolts and stuff out of the caliper. Rotor off. You can see here, this is probably causing some of the vibrations. See it down here, a high or a low spot, it catches and bounces the pad off. Feel that as you're pressing the brake. Feel the imperfections. Down here is pretty bad. Pop this off with a screwdriver. Usually I put it in here somewhere, hold my hand over it and try and catch it while the other hand's prying it out. This is a little tab right here that locks into the pad. So, see the little tab in there where the clip locks in. Take 1 and 2 caps off. Unscrew the 7 millimeter Allens. You want to get these, you don't want to take these off. Torque's up here or over here in the caliper. Take the 7 millimeter Allens. Pull them all the way out. Probably best to take this off first, give you some room. Usually I use some pliers or something, wiggle this out of the way so this brake line gets set back in so you can pull it out forward and get more room and hang the caliper up here. So pry bar in here, try and pull, sometimes get in here. You're trying to pry the caliper, push the piston in a little bit so you get a little extra room to wiggle this off. Watch out for your connector. You don't want to break this. You could also take it off by pinching these tabs down and slide it out. But the pads come out, they're just locked in, so you could just, a little worse on the corner there. Then put the compressing tool in here and squeeze this down, pliers or something. Take off these E18 or E20 Torx bits and hold the caliper bracket on. Then we'll clean the caliper bracket with a file. Hit this with a hammer around here, don't deform it. Put the socket in there, hit the socket in, and then it usually breaks loose for me. Then take the rotor off, clean the surface, and install. Okay, we'll wire brush all this out, then hit it with a file and just make sure it's all flat and clean. I like to clean all the sides in here, on the bottom, the top here, and even the inside here. Don't forget to take your pins out, make sure they slide easy when they're greased up. How crusty that is. All cleaned up and coated in Never Seas. Gonna clean the rotor with brake clean and wipe it off. This is all the stuff you're trying to clean off on the rotor. All that glue versus the clean side. Well, relatively clean. Gonna go over it again. Just make sure everything is off. You don't want this sticking into the pads when you use the brakes. See, so it's all nice and cleaned off. And then I'm gonna put the bracket in here with the pads. I'm gonna assemble it in here. So I'm gonna put the pads in first. You might have to squeeze the tabs because the bracket has tabs that sit in here. Sometimes you have to bend them in a little bit to get them to sit in there easier. But they're supposed to lock in, and then it locks in there. And then put the bracket on top of it, all lubed up and everything, and then put the pins in, and then the whole thing can just easily go on over, and then tighten up the bracket bolts, and then you're all set after you torque the wheels down. I'm going to put some Never Seas on here so that I can not like clean off the hub there, and then Never Seas this so it doesn't like get corroded like. So you can see I put some of the grease for the pads on this where they're gonna slide, and I've greased up the actual bracket with this high temp brake grease, and then I'm gonna lay this right on top here, and then screw in these pins, tighten them up, and then flop this over and put the bolts in. What I'll do is I'll put this behind here. I'll put it where it has to go. And then I'll hold this down in there because it has that little tab that has to go in the hole right there. And then this one I'll usually just pry with my hand and put it behind here like it is on the top. Usually I could just do this with my hands on the SAAB. Sometimes you need a pry bar, but I'm just gonna put the camera down and do that. And then, oh, look at that. Put that back in here. Might need a little twist. Push that. It's got to be pushed past, and then put the clip in. It'll lock in the slot on this line. This I actually had to twist it with some pliers so that it would line up because there's like a flat edge on that side, and then this will go right in the space. See where it's meant to go, and give it a little tap with a hammer, push it in. This I actually had to use my screwdriver this time, and it pinched me because I have my hand right here. It pinched me, but one I'm having to like put my screwdriver in here, pry it over, and then come down and like kind of guide it in. It wasn't as easy as the other side, of course, because I said something about it. I like to give the caliper a good pull, push, make sure everything's moving like it should. Some don't have as much space because it's tighter, the pads on the rotor, but for this car, there's enough movement on the slides and space between the pads and the rotor until you hit the brakes that you can move it. Next is going to be the intermediate shaft, which is right up in there. So there's the intermediate shaft. You see the boot's a little ripped, but yeah, it's pretty locked up.